Hello and welcome. Today's date comes in that of a Tuesday, I think, 18th day of February 2020, or is it a Wednesday? Let me just check my computer. It's a Tuesday. Although it technically is turning into a Wednesday, so we'll just leave it at that. All bets, trades, and of the like, with it each his own risk and their own reward. For myself, risk reward management is always job number one. And in this video, if I choose to use those four-letter words in needed time frames, I most certainly will. As with what I'm seeing, both in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and precious metals, I'm going to do a separate video for the gold and silver. There's just beautiful setups there, as it had a very good update on that front, despite U.S. dollar index gain. But that's the U.S. fiat currency. I think here with cryptocurrencies that the shit's hit the fan, that we are going to have the magnificent moves that occurred like in 2017, and I'm going to be showing you why as we move further within this video. A lot of stuff to go over. From this high, Bitcoin comes down to the 18 average of lows. The correctionary moves beforehand, we had even a little couple in here. Nothing too fantastical. This one did have a few periods to meet up with the highs. This one was a little extended with a couple decent red days meeting down to the lows and piercing below. We had another one in here doing nice support at that stage, and then that was it, at least since, of course, the end of this downtrend. Price action reaching this previous high, and then this level of resistance we can see has been support along the way. Okay. This move in here today, how it comes up to the 18 average of highs like it does, this is alarming, I think. And I think if you start to see Bitcoin above 10,377 area in this previous point, it's game over. I mean, and when I say game over, it's easy. I mean, you know it's going to continue to go higher. We're looking at meeting up with this previous resistance. We're looking at Bitcoin going up to like 11, 12,000. So it wouldn't surprise me over the next few days if we see Bitcoin have a move in the area of about 15-16%, and altcoins to do much more fantastic than that. I'll get to that in a bit, but before we do that, let's take a look at Bitcoin on the short term. As it was an incredible day. And from this high, this is this correctionary mode that we've been having. And the attempts to get out of it in here, neutralizing this, flattening it, well, that's all it did, but wasn't able to hold, showing the weakness in here. There's the breakdown and leg lower. Gets above the 18 average of highs. Okay, and definitely enough to flatten out. And there's the support, but not getting above this resistance. This time breaking down below new leg lower. Now we're resisting this level of support. Of course, this holds, and then we can see things change in here. You're supporting this level here. You had this long correctionary phase. There's a bump up rally, making a higher low to this point. And whenever you have that situation, when you have the correctionary move, making the higher low, this low to this one, and then you see it leaving the 18, getting above this, you can't be surprised to have all these phenomenal gains. Now, originally I'd be thinking we should be getting resistance in here. No. More times than not, maybe it is, but not this time. So then you have to go next level. Okay, we're talking about into this congestion area, which is so far where it is went. And there's been short-term resistance in here since this high is about 5 periods ago. But maintaining a little bit of sideways range, not that much of a price correction, hence it has not even touched this 18 average yet within this time frame. Now let's switch it over to the dominance, which to me is very indicative that we may see some further decline on this, going lower than 63.68. Okay. We had this trend go up here in 2018, and it's been higher highs and higher lows. So every single time it's been attempting to go below the 18 lows. Well, quick little move here doesn't really do much more, and it only had a few periods going below it, but either way establishes this level of support which it needed to do. Then we have this little bit of blimp here, but that's really all it was. So we have this little bit of blimp here, that's all it was, but establishes a support. What I find very fascinating and interesting about this is we have this level here that was resisted in here. After, again, we established this little area. I mean, we have this nice little trend. You got to expect to have these little bits of moves within a counter trend move, of course, and an uptrend going down. Here's your opportunity for this to regain its trend, and well, it didn't do it. It didn't hold any of these must-hold areas, and thus resisting here from this point. But still, that didn't mean it was necessarily going to break down, although you can see in here that it did. I mean, obvious, but and from that, a concise move to this low. Now, this is where it gets fascinating to me. So from this low, after what's almost 24 consecutive days in a row, it seems, you have this move, but we can see it was instantly rejected back down to the 18 lows. And then in today's session being Tuesday, hanging in there, pausing this retracement move back down. It looks to me as if this is your typical 18 average correctionary move that will be a success in the bear market move. I would not be surprised if this thing in today's session, especially, but that's just parlaying more things, a concise move. It could take 2-3 days for this to form and just be something like this, just grinding lower as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down below this, and I don't like the chances there's going to be much support here. Thus, when I take a look at it from this perspective, this is where it gets a wild card. I mean, is it going to be anything like this? It could. I hope it is. I doubt it would be. But I know it's possible. If it's something like this, that would mean altcoins are just kicking ass like no tomorrow. You can see it again in here. And then when these altcoins move, these moves can be dynamite. I mean, they can just be fascinatingly big. And that doesn't mean it will, but they have in the past. So if this is breaking down, I mean, this could maybe just go down to here. But we could be 5, 6, 10, 12 periods away from price even going down to here. Or maybe 28, 35 periods away from it. 2 months away, something like that. And the possibility, if we have a decent move, do we have like a shitty, not so great move down to like 54? Do you have it, you know what, not so bad down to 45? Do you have, very good. We actually retraced 100%, but that was just a matching low, meaning it goes down and then back up. And doesn't end up even going down. And I don't mean all at once, but something like a move that goes down, maybe does a little bit of all this stuff, maybe goes sideways, and then something like that. Those are all possibilities of things that could happen, because when altcoins have the moves that go within them, I've seen it happen so many times before. 40% up days, 200% up days, having moves of 7x over 7 days, 140x over 140 days. Well, that was common in 2017. Now let's go on to some altcoins, and let's make sure that this, my volume should be. I had it hidden for. Anyway, I don't know why my volume's not being shown. Anyway, it's not really important for that. Theta's in an interesting situation here. Let's see how this plays out. There's my volume. It just took some time to load. I've already talked about how the support resisted this fact, and we're seeing this again now. After this rally a few days ago up to here, comes down, supports all of this resistance area. I mean, it hasn't got above the 18 average of highs, but I like how it's rising as it is. If you see theta at around 14 height change, 1476, 1485, and that number, it's almost a certainty. It's about as high probability odds as I think you're going to get in this game of trading or looking at market charts. At least the way I do it anyway. At least the way I look at it, I think it is. For this thing to probably have a fantastic move. Because when we look at next stage analysis kind of deal, and it's been you almost call this baby steps. And maybe it's just going to be another baby step move to 2000. That's all it's going to be. If that's the case, or even a baby step move to 1950, whatever. But it does look like a leg higher that this is going to happen. How big of a leg higher? And its prospects wild card is how I look at it. Maybe all it does is go up to 2160. Maybe it shoots up to 4,000 and it does it in 17 hours. Or 1.7 hours even. Maybe it goes up to 26,000 in the next 26 days. These are all potential things that are realistic, maybe and most likely not to be a favorite. But the volatility is a certainty, it seems, within this crypto space. But I like the setup that it shows on here on the daily chart. Take a look at this on the short-term single-hour time frame. This is where it gets fascinating for me anyway. We have this high here, which took place yesterday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And interesting, just a key note, before this happened, T-Fuel had a small rally as well, by the way, like just in these periods before. If you see T-Fuel going off beforehand, like it goes off decently, that seems to be, and I've been thinking about this for the last several weeks, couple months, that when Theta Fuel goes off first, that might be like, okay, next few hours, Theta's going to go off, because that's happened, I think, 3-4 times in the past. I didn't say it in the last video. I didn't talk about that yesterday or the day before when it happened. I didn't even make a video yesterday, maybe. I don't know. But maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. But however, I did a few weeks ago, like one of these. I think this one here I know. So maybe Theta goes off, and it did. Before, of course, Theta Fuel had a decent move. But anyway, correctionary phase, you break out above the 18 average of highs on here, and we've been seeing nothing but continuous strength amongst it. An attempted breakout that failed on this here because it gets above the highs. Got to this resistance, but the failure was these two red candles going down. However, within it, it was a successful correctionary move, but now we were on like several periods here just consolidating within this uptrend of the highs, and it does seem as if this is ready with this trend to poised to break resistance. And when it breaks key levels, it's usually a decent amount. I would expect a large noticeable pierce above 1528, but I wouldn't be surprised if not only it gets the pierce to that, but to the 1740 area. That's not easy to say, although it should be. But even more than that, again, that it's going to have a spectacular move. Tezos is next. And I think it was 4,000 that I said this was going to go to based on this high. And we're at 33.78, but this pattern looks pretty darn near good. 2 days in a row like this, we have these like bullish type of, I don't know what they call these cattails or whatever. I don't know what they're called. But they're bullish candles. It's really odd to have 2 days in a row like this. And considering where it came from, how this session moved, this to me looks ready to go off, I think. And we look at this on a shorter term time frame. And we'll do so via that of the single hour. We can see February 12th we hit this high, doing so again on the 14th, and again today on the 18th. It pulled down here, pulled down, same places, so really making it noticeable. Like we had resistance here, we can see at this point. It's also like the 50% retracement from this high and this low. It may not go down there, but if this is most certainly a must-hold area, I think, for this move on this time frame. But I really am liking how this has just been holding and staying and supporting this little area. I think that the probability odds that this thing is ready to go out and probably make that move wouldn't be a surprise to the 4,000 number relatively fast. I think it's a pretty good chance. Moving on to H bar, which I thought was going to be breaking out. It hasn't broken down yet either. It's been holding well so far, at least that the keywords are so far from this amazing 2-day rally. And it's came down the 18 average of lows. We've just had several days of consolidation. We can see just 2 periods in here of establishing resistance, which when you shorten the time frame out will be more clear. Let's take a look at the single hour time frame. And I was mentioning here, but this failed breakdown, and it has this move, fast move to this up point. Now, so far, it has correctly supported it. But this was the attempt here to break it out. That didn't succeed. And it's just grinding its way lower. Since then, what's changed on grinding lower is that it's just mainly gone sideways, but it still would have to get to like 525, 527 just to be making the statement that it wants to resume the trend. And then its next target area would be a third test of its Fibonacci at the 581. It is in a full-blown sideways fully consolidation of this move because it's been in it for quite some time. It's had much support with one failed break pierce below of this 477. It's had, of course, now 3 multiple tests within the 581. It's just stuck within this within these 2 key Fibonacci points. And until then, it's wait and see. But a lot of these cryptos do seem as if there's a good chance that if everything goes up, I think this will participate in it. If cryptos do not engage in a global rally, then unless this thing is ready to go for a decent sized move, this thing is most certainly still fragile for a decent price move, which could go down to that 347 level. And moving 160 points would be like well over 30% from where price action stands right now. Now, of course, that's nature of the crypto volatility markets that present themselves. Now let's move on to Litecoin, then we'll finish it off against with Ethereum. And I drew these Fibonacci lines in, which I could just tell by looking at 23.6, 38.2, and 61.8%. I barely remember doing it, but I can see in here that it failed to resist in that area here, but meaning it could have, I mean, that was still a good game from this low, but I would have thought breaking out above here that it would have went to this line on this exact day, January 17th. And here we have good correctionary move, but the resistance occurred a little bit, but not much. Paused it for this day, and we can see multiple days in which it had supported it. This is the interesting thing that I like about this. We break out February 12th, 13th, and 14th, getting above the 18 average of highs. Most certainly that was a failed breakout because we had resistance established around, well, up to this high in here, but really this resistance was established around 77.44. Here it is getting out to above the 80 number, barely breaking above, looking like it's going to go much higher, but no. And then we have these 2 days that break below this level. But I do like how it has been able to recover and continue to support within it. So to me, this looks like this has got a good chance of breaking out. And if you see it getting above the 80 handle, as we're seeing this play out, then I'm going to be thinking that this is going to be poised to have a very fast move to pierce above the 88 handle. On the single hour, we see a lot of this interesting volatility that this market has had, but from this congestion here at this fib, we get above it, there's this great support, and just this hour as it is, it looks like we're leaving the 18. I like how the higher low comes in at the 18 lows. We've had multiple hits, barely the higher highs each time within this area. So to me, this looks poised to break it and then have them test up to this 80, but again, I think a lot of these cryptos are ready to go, and Ethereum has an amazing bullish setup. This will be the final chart on this video. And in viewing it on the 60-minute chart, so this is that correctionary move. So now we got from this high to this low. On a bearish level, what now we break it in here, and this looks very, very productive. Now this is interesting again because I always say, oh, if it does this, breaks above this, yada yada. Well, let's talk about one of the times where it breaks above it and it hasn't done much. because here it is one of those times there, and it's not much of a move going up here. And this is an obvious telltale sign. It's an either or. That this thing, like the bullish levels are in play. This is just a correctionary mode. We're having the 18. It's going to eventually, very soon, get above this and go off. But whenever you have a move like this, because this would be a classic big failed breakout, if you start to see that this goes down to here, then going down to here quickly after that is not a surprise. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.